Hi guys, welcome back. So yesterday it says China Evergrande officially default. It looks super scary, right? On top of that, the market was driven down so much these 2 days because of the CPI number. So many people thought the correction is coming and was so much expecting a bloodbath in the Asia market after that. But it didn't happen. Why is that? Why does it continue rising? Which is exactly the opposite of what you expect. So I'll share my view on that, and also I would update on a few stocks, point out where the opportunities I find, and also give a quick update on LKCO, what you probably wonder the most. So the whole time about the Evergrande issue, I've been requested to share my views a couple times, and every time my views is pretty much the same as the previous videos, that the junk bond from the real estate developers are acting like the solar panel to absorb the energy from the US QE massive money printing, so it absorbed the energy for energy storage and save it to use later. This way it is taking advantage of the QE at the maximum level to solve the internal problem, which is the biggest bubble of real estate. So right now China is using a tiny nail to poke the smallest hole of the balloon so that it doesn't pop, but it would just leach the air slowly and to gradually let the problem become smaller. That's why I think everything is done so far with a plan. It's done purposely. And I think the term purposely is very important here because it means they're having it under control. And I said I'm gonna sit back and relax and maybe pop some popcorn to kind of enjoy the show here. The term purposely means everything here. If you understand the Chinese culture, you know that they don't like surprises. They like everything under control within their plan, way ahead of time. I'll give you an example. Remember back in 2008 Beijing Olympics, there was a big news about the girl singing at the opening. That turned out to be faking it. Some people would say that from here you can see that they're being dishonest. And the way I take it is that in the Chinese culture, they want things under control. They want zero risk, zero accident, no surprises. That's why last weekend, when Cathy Wood said she thinks China is playing with fire in the real estate sector, I shared a different opinion because I think Chinese cultures don't like surprises when it comes to these kind of international events. Face is very important in the Chinese culture. If anything, they want to do anything to preserve the face or the pride of the nationality. So I think they wouldn't want to spread out the scandal of internal problems to the international stage if they weren't planning for something big, some big moves ahead that I wouldn't be able to figure out the whole picture. I don't think anyone would. So that's why for me it's better to pop some popcorn and watch the show coming up. And the purposely is very important. I said yesterday, when the US markets keep going up, the CCP keeps giving out bad news to press down the Chinese market. And I think it's done purposely. So who knows? Maybe when the QE stops or when the US market actually gets into a medium-term correction, the CCP can do the exact opposite and give out many good news to prevent the market from falling. Because as of this moment, it seems like almost 100% under their control because everything is done purposely. It's just so many bad news were out in the last few months. And can you imagine how many good news have been accumulated over the period that once they are released, how much it can help boost the market, the confidence from the investors? Think about this. This is beyond our imagination. And I think there could be so many good news coming out. Like what? I'll give you a few examples. Like the status of the trade war. China has been playing the upper hand in the trade war so far, and this has not been priced in at all for the Chinese market. Like the US-China relationship, I've been looking forward to this meeting of the two presidents, the real negotiation to hopefully ease off the relationship. I thought it would happen by the end of October, but because the presidency couldn't leave the country, so it seems like it is happening anyways in a virtual way. Thanks for the share by Danitza, my Discord member. Biden-Xi virtual summit set for Monday. This is indeed a long-anticipated meeting. We have waited for so long and finally they're doing the talk. A lot of things can happen from this talk if the relationship of the two can get better. It could turn out that the sanction of the Chinese companies lifted, at least partly by the US. It could help ease off the chip problem that China has for the tech companies. It could help with the inflation problem US is having right now as a critical crisis. If China offers to help, in that case, it might ease off the previous power supply problem that I anticipated to be what China is using against the US for the inflation. And most importantly, it could mean the Chinese stocks listed in the US stock exchange might somehow be less fearful of their listing because everything would follow the two leaders, etc. These are the potential good news coming out from the negotiation. More good news could be the earnings coming out from the big companies. Despite all the bad news about China's economy, the year of 2021 has actually been a very good year for most of the companies, especially in the new energy and export sectors. So retail, e-commerce, a lot of the earnings are coming up and they shouldn't be bad. The record number kept hitting record high even though the political tension seemed to be tense in this year. But I guess when the earnings are out, we can realize what we should trust, whether it's the news or the numbers. Because the numbers don't lie. There could be more solutions about the Evergrande, which they have not said anything officially before, and I wonder why. Could be the same reason good news are accumulated for the use later. And we might see more and more transformation of the existing giant companies getting into the new fields of new technology, pushing up a much bigger trends. For example, Tencent reported earnings yesterday. It had a slight miss of expectation, causing the share price to dip. But it soon also recovered. Why? Because investors realized the decline of the traditional business, like advertising and gaming, also means the rise of the other new businesses, such as the more focus and efforts put into fintech and metaverse, sectors that might be growing much faster than the traditional business they were in. So I take this as a good transformation. Same thing with Alibaba. We might see they put more efforts and better growth in the newer fields than the e-commerce, which would be blockchain and cloud business. Again, when the news keep talking about the bad news, spreading fears, commenting on the decline, think about whether it's the traditional business. Because remember, we are in the transition from old economy to the new economy, from the sunset industry to the sunrise industry. So off the top of my head, so many good news accumulated, and they can give out anytime they want. It's all under control purposely. And it's all about timing when they feel it's the right time to release certain news. Remember, I kept saying October for the reversal, kept looking at October. And then October opened up with a very bad situation. Everything kept falling. HSI made a new low. Remember at that time, so many people were angry and said that, didn't you say October is the reversal? Why is it falling? And then what happened after that? We have seen the low, the bottom in October, and things started to bounce up pretty strong, more than you expected, and the reversal happened. And after the big run up, I have reminded everyone to take profit and wait for a pullback. And then at this low early this week and last week, I have encouraged everyone to take this opportunity and stop looking at news but focus more on the psychology. As I thought the correction had been enough, the pullback is enough, the healthy backtest is great, but of course a lot of people don't believe it. I aim for 249 to be the good pullback and to be the bottom for this pullback, and warn about the US market having S&P and VIX grow together. Not a good sign. That was last week when S&P was still making all-time high. And HSI in November should start off the month tough but end well to recover, just like what happened in October. Started off tough but end up very well. So I thought November would repeat this. But after it reached 249, it did not bounce back up right away, but consolidate on the side for a few days more. I thought about it and I came up with the reason because it was waiting for something. Could be waiting for the Shanghai Composite to form a good bottom so it can rebound together and get back above 3520, because the Shanghai Composite was making a correction, forming a bottom, so maybe HSI was waiting for this bottom to confirm and rebound together. So yesterday it broke out of the resistance of 3520. I notified that on the Discord that the Shanghai Composite might have found the bottom. Next thing you know, the HSI started to pull up strong. So it could really be just exactly what it was waiting for. So it turned out to be very good to have quite a few days of the bottom here because it could give us more opportunity to accumulate those shares. More dips to grab. As I said on Tuesday, I've been buying like a beast. And on Tuesday, I bought the dip for JD at 77 call option. Also PDD at 83. Turned out it was the perfect dip to catch. And I still think it's not over yet. For PDD, short-term target 95, medium-term 112. So you can mark down the different target to lock in profit. And for JD, short-term target 87. For BABA, I suggested to take profit at 182, then suggested a buy at 163 and call option at 158. I think it was also a perfect dip to catch. And this time the target would be raised to be not only 182 but first target 190, second target 211. Of course, none of these would go up straight. Just like this is nearly impossible. Not gonna be that easy, but more of a shaky ride. But I am sure that for every possible dip, there would be haters coming out and say that you're wrong, you screwed up, ha ha ha, and point finger. Just like when the HSI did not bounce back up right away after 249, people started to come and point finger, haha, you're wrong. Just like the video says, the opportunity happens only once in 10 years. So many haters saying that you've been saying this for a few months already. How come it's not happening? Well, this really shows that stock market is not for everybody. People want to buy and have a great run up the next day. People focus way more on the stock's past performance versus the future. You'll be surprised so many forget to think about the future more than what happened in the past. It is actually useless to compare the performance of the top Chinese and US stocks in the same sector. What's more important is what's gonna happen in the future. It sounds so easy, right? But most people forget about this. But this is actually very good for us though. Remember, every cycle starts with fear and desperation and grow in skeptical and observation. And I think right now we have started with fear and desperation and moving to the skeptical and observation. So I think it would continue growing in people's doubts. The more you doubt it, the more it grows. You think that you have been tricked so many times in the past, so many bull traps, right? So this time it's gonna be the same. Just a bull trap, it's gonna come back down, it won't last long. And this is when the share price would keep on rising in your doubts, because it means your mind has been trained by the market to lose confidence, to have more doubts. For the past few months, that's why I said right now the share price had been detached from the company's fundamental and we should focus more on the psychology. That's why when we have good opportunities, we should go heavy right away, because if you don't go heavy and take this opportunity, you would end up buying more because you regret not buying more at the dip, and you would end up buying more at the top, and this is how most people end up losing money with good companies. This is what happened with LKCO. I told you I went really heavy back in February before the run up, and in this way I don't need to keep adding every time it run up, so I could just sit back and relax. Less transactions, less mistake, less emotional. So now a lot of people lost money with LKCO because they had bought only a little at first and then much more at the top and end up losing money, and now they think this is a trashy company. But they tend to forget that it's still up 50 to 100% since last year. And the market cap has 4x quadruple since my initial buy. So that's how it works. It would rise within the dots. And I think right now we're still okay because I still see so many haters. And it would not peak until the haters change, which I think is still a long way to go. So other than the bigger techs, like the ones I just mentioned, I also want to talk about other opportunities that I see. There's JKS, of course. It's hard to ignore the breakout with volume like today. It had gapped up right away above the resistance of 58. It had broke out of this trend line, did a good back test already once and twice, few times good shaking, and then a good breakout on this day today with slight increase of volume too. So I think we can keep watching out and look forward to this. It was a lot of resistance here because many chips were trapped at the top for quite a few months, between 60 to 70. So you see, we have spent a long time here consolidating to try to digest the chips trap here, trying to make more people cut loss. It might take some time, but I think it would happen. And when the breakout happen, I expect a strong run up, at least passing the previous high of 90. But for now, it might take some time more to digest the selling pressure. Next is DIDI, ticker symbol DIDI. This one I'm a bit mad about it. I talked about it on Sunday. I think I said there is opportunity. Last month, October 11, I gave out the list of stocks I plan to buy at what price. NIU had reached the target price, so I bought. The ADA, the lowest it was 20, so I missed it by a little bit. ZEP had reached my target price, so I did add more, and LKCO as well, but DIDI at 7.8. So I've waited for DIDI the whole way from 8 to almost 10, coming back down and got to 7.9, so I missed it by $0.1. Can't believe it. So a tip for you is that in the future, if I give you target price, always buffer a little bit instead of being so precise. I still have my 7.8 limit order hanging there, and I might have to change it later or chase, and I don't like about that. I think there is important catalyst coming up for DIDI, and it's not the earning, it's not the news about national online writing market increase or whatsoever. It is actually the Q3 update of institutional ownership. As I shared the Q2 of the Hill House Capital's holding, they actually started a position of DIDI in Q2, and it was listed the last day of Q2. Whatever drama happened after was part of Q3. So it would be very, very interesting to see what the institutions did with DIDI, with their shares. Did they add more in Q3 despite the political black swan? And if several large institutions did, then it would be a very good catalyst for DIDI. So I think it's very interesting to watch out for. Another one that might share the similar situation is TAL. This dramatic fall happened in Q3, so it would be a great catalyst to see if there is large institutions buying the dip for the education sector. Next is Tencent Music, ticker symbol TME. Reported earning a few days ago. It was not bad, and it was brought to me by my Discord member asking about TME a few days ago, and I said the TME chart looks really good, so I think it's worth a shot. It was on this day, so it consolidated a little bit, and I took a position. It's the newest position at 8.2. Today we saw a breakout with volume. I think we can keep looking at this one. It's really not bad. Fundamental and chart. Another one that you know I've been adding is NIU, but I will make another video just for this, so I won't talk too much about this here. There are a few other stocks that I am watching closely for the earning for next week. I probably would make a video on Sunday to talk about that, to analyze the stocks reporting earning coming up next week. Now LKCO, I think a lot of people have been scratching their hair off for LKCO. I didn't talk about LKCO much for the past 2 weeks because I thought the chart doesn't look good at all. So short term, it's not ideal. So I don't want to recommend it to buy at that time. And now it's still the same. Short term wise, it's not looking the best. It has no signal of uptrend. But I do see something not bad is the MACD having a divergence. If it continue not making lower lows, and here if we can make a lower low than the previous of 0.99, then we would have a MACD divergence, and I think that might be actually good. So I would be looking at that in case it breaks the lower lows, and the last one I might add a little bit more again. Fundamental wise, everything is still the same. The company is growing, and there is a good chance the next catalyst would be the Q3 earning, because there are many big contracts that happen in Q3, like the Microsoft, then the unknown top brands for the auto drive, and so on. So there is a chance that by Q3 they already completed the whole year's target for total revenues, and if that's the case, then it would be really good news. So my crystal ball tells me that LKCO might rise in 1 to 2 months, and the catalyst is the Q3 earnings. But short-term wise, the chart is not looking great right now. Keep that in mind so you don't get disappointed. That's all. Leave in the comments down below if you have any stocks that have earnings coming up and you're interested for my weekend video. And if you have enjoyed this video, please give me a big like and write me a great comment, and I'll see you in my next video. That's it, guys. Hope you can find my videos helpful. Make sure you subscribe to my channel and give me a big like. Thank you.